Welcome back. As you know, I am Eli, the computer guy, here for the Daily Blob, where everybody is asking, what does our favorite tech fake Jew think about Israel attacking Iran? And well, I have some thoughts to provide to you today. I will remind the racists out there, I'm not Jewish, you dumbasses. And I say that for the racists on all sides. I have been confronted with some very curious words by Jewish people who also think I'm Jewish. That's always weird. They're like, hey! And then they start saying a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm like, please stop. Please stop. I'm not actually Jewish. I don't agree with any of the crap that you are saying right now. But anyways, so Israel has attacked Iran. Israel has killed military officials. Israel has killed nuclear scientists and the whole 9 yards. And the question that gets screamed out in the night is, what does Eli, the computer guy, think? And what I've got to say right now, as I look at this, as I read the articles coming in on the interwebs, the first thing that I think is, thank God I do not have employees. Whew. God bless. I do not have employees. And then the next thing I wonder is if ball gags have expiration dates. So when you go out and buy a whole kit of ball gags for your technology employees, there is the question, do they expire? You know, a while ago, they're all screaming about Fauci and COVID and all that kind of stuff. So you realize you had to go out and get yourself a kit of ball gags to be able to deal with your employees. Have you ever thought about looking at the expiration date? Is it about time to pull out that bag of ball gags only to find out they actually expired 6 months ago and it's actually now against the law to shove the damn things into your employee's mouth to get them to shut the fuck up? Anyways, those are my thoughts. I don't know. What are you supposed to say? What are you supposed to say about any of this? All of this it's like made for social media reality. Because there's so many sides. There's sides. There's this side. There's that side. There's the other side. Hey, do you know about the ICE raids? Hey, do you know about Israel attacking Iran? Hey, do you know about Russia and Ukraine? Hey, do you know about the Uyghurs? Hey, do you know about this? What's your opinion? And not only what is your opinion, but you have to tell your opinion to everybody. And I think this is the point in time that I would just remind people, when you go to work, nobody gives a damn about your authentic you. Nobody cares what you think. So maybe just focus on the work. I think that's what I think about with this, because it is interesting, especially when you start talking about like Israel, especially when you start talking about Israel. People have real opinions about this, one way or the other. I think about this years ago. Years ago, I was in Chile. So I was in Chile, in the Pucón region, and my wife and I were backpacking, traveling around. And anyways, we were hiking around, we're traveling, and we were on some tour group or whatever. And I was talking to this one guy, and I whiffed. I don't have good Judar. I don't pay attention. I just don't pay that much attention to the Jews. Got to admit. Can I be like the first person to say this? Am I allowed to say this? Is this anti-Semitic too? I don't really care about the Jews. Like really, like much one way or the other. Like, I don't know. You do you. Anyways, so I was sitting there and I was talking to this person. I was vaguely aware they were Jewish. Not really aware they were Jewish. Like vaguely, like maybe, I don't know. Anyways, we were sitting there and we were talking about the stupid religions of like the prehistoric Chileans, right? Because we were going on this tour thing. And oh, ha, they believe in this God. Or oh, ha, they believe in that God. And we were having a good old time. Me and this guy, we were ragging the fuck out of the Chileans. Look at these fucking stupid Chileans with their fucking stupid mythology. Isn't that fucking stupid? Anyway, And then we're going along. Hey, I do what I do. My wife is always like, why do you do that? I'm like, I don't know. Anyways, at some point we're going along. It's like, yeah, but all of this seems pretty dumbass. But look, I mean, the Jews, think, Israel is the place that they should be or whatever. Oh my God, that shit went downhill quick. We went from shitting on an entire society that we were literally in to this guy got deathly serious. Israel was promised to us by God. You're like, oh, well, there you go then. There you go. Just a reminder, their mythology is ridiculous. Your mythology is life and death. Anyways, that's the interesting thing. You talk about this stuff, and people really, they have opinions. And in this modern world, in the social media world, right? Silence is the same as supporting whatever it is. So you have to scream at the top of your lungs whatever it is that you believe. And this is yet another instance where I would argue activists need to be fired. I don't care what kind of activist. To be clear, I don't care what kind of activists. Whether they're Antifa activists, or they're MAGA activists, or they're vegans, or they're doing the carnivore diet. Fuck those carnivore diet people. That's just disgusting. Anyways, all just need to be fired. And if you can't fire them, if you're like Eli, you don't understand. That is my senior network operations person. Even though they're eating brains and kidneys because the Liver King told them to do it, I'd really like to fire them, but I can't. That's why you have your emergency ball gag kit. So you can go in, you can grab a ball gag, you can grab that network operations guy by the back of the neck, shove that ball gag in, and then you have the problem solved. You keep your network operations guy, and they can't say stupid shit that's going to piss off everybody else in the company. That is my thought with Israel attacking Iran, because this is another situation where all sides are stupid. To be clear, my personal opinion, as a fake Jew, I'll be honest with you, as a fake Jew, I think Israel's playing this badly. I think Israel is winning the decade war when they have to worry about the next millennium. It is interesting when you look at different people in different societies and what you're trying to shoot for. Israel is the homeland of a people, right? The homeland of a people. So this isn't conquering in the normal concept of conquering. This isn't conquering Alsace-Lorraine. France and Germany beating the shit out of each other so one gets coal. Like, coal was not promised by Mickey Mouse to anybody. You're just trying to get coal and iron and that kind of crap, right? So if you conquer Alsace-Lorraine, and then 20 years later, the other side reconquers Alsace-Lorraine, and then 20 years later, the other side reconquers Alsace-Lorraine, you're basically just trading the titles on mines. Yes, people die. Yes, it's horrible. Yeah, boo-hoo. But, yeah. Right. The thing is, with Israel being the promised land and the homeland, you can't lose that, like ever, like ever. Right? There's not that many Jewish people in the world. There's something like 15 million Jewish people in the world. So there's like 15 million Israelis. Something like 9 million of them are Jewish, and then the rest are the other groups. Then we got like 8 or 9 million, or some odd million in the United States. We have the next largest group of of Jewish people, and then the rest of the country has dribs and drabs there. But there's really not. There's like sub 20 million Jews in the world, and basically half of them are tied up in Israel at this point in time. If Israel loses, and loses badly, ever, and I'm not just saying today, and I'm not just saying 5 years from now, I'm not just saying 50 years from now, or 500 years from now, if at any point Israel loses, right, they will just get erased. Right? It's not that much land, not that far to go. And so I think one of the concerns that I would have for the Israeli people, where I'd say you might really rethink, how you're thinking about things, is I was looking at, right, so the Nakba, so this was curious, real lived world experience. So anyways, I was sitting there and I was talking to somebody I know, I was talking about my step-grandmother who had been a resistance fighter against the Nazis, right? And so again, in my family, again, the stories of hating Nazis is real. When you have a step-grandmother who literally put bullets into Nazis, you don't screw around with certain salutes or anything. You just stay the fuck away from that. Anyways, the interesting thing is I was talking to this guy, he's like, yeah, well, my grandparents, basically had those same kind of stories about the Nakba. And it is an interesting, it was like the first time that this has actually come up. But you think about like stories and you think about arcs with how things get talked about. And the curious thing is like the Nakba was never talked about in the 80s. In normal conversations, wasn't talked about in the 90s, barely talked about in the 2000s, started somewhat getting talked about in the 2010s, and now is something many people know about. And not only do many people know about it, but there's more starting to be those conversations of whose grandparents went through what. And I was looking at it, and with the descendants of the Nakba at this point in time are something like up to 8.5 million people. So you have the people that were kicked out, and then they had kids, and those kids had kids. So the descendants of the people that came from the Nakba is now at like 8.5 million people. That's 8.5 million people with an ancestral storyline about a terrorist group of people kicking them out of their rightful homes, right? And if you think about everything going on right now, again, it's amazing to think about. So Israel, right, is 15 million people. Do you know Egypt is 120 million people? Iraq is like 45 million people. Syria is even like 25, 30 million people. It's amazing in that area of the world how many people are not Jewish. Like even now, even being conservative, with theoretically the people, the countries that are within a reasonable radius to attack Israel, there's something on the order of 300 to 400 million people conservatively against a nation of something like 15 million, right? There's 20 to 30x more people around Israel than are in Israel. And Israel is bombing everybody. Bombing Syria, right? Destroy. Once the rebels in Syria were able to overthrow Bashar, the first thing that Israel did was sink the Syrian navy, because that shows what your intentions are to your neighbor. They're leveling Gaza, bombing the crap out of Iran at this point in time. And one of the questions to think about is like, well, if you got 8.5 descendants of the actual Nakba itself, and then how many people that have been hurt by this current wave of attacks, and how many kids will they have, and how will those stories go from day to day, year to year, decade to decade? And what does the world look like in 50 years? As technology changes, as the power of the United States wanes. Interesting things to be thinking about. Turkey, right? Turkey, member of NATO. So supposedly one of our friends. Anyways, right? They got kicked out of the F-35 program. So they got kicked out of the F-35 program because they were going to use Russians' S-400s or S-500 anti-missile systems. Whatever, right? So they have been an integral member of the F-35 program, so they're actually pretty good with aeronautical stuff. So they decided, well, if we're getting kicked out of the F-35 program, we're going to create our own fifth-generation fighter. Well, one of the curious things with that is what it is. Well, Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia is looking at upgrading their military. And so they're looking at it. And one of the interesting things is we have an agreement with Israel that we will not sell more advanced military technology to any of our other partners in the region. So basically, if we sell anything really, really, really good to Saudi Arabia, we have to sell something better to Israel. Saudi Arabia will always get substandard equipment in regards to Israel to keep Israeli supremacy, right? And this is right, as long as we are the most powerful, blah, blah, blah country in the world, whatever. One of the interesting things is, again, you have Turkey coming out, creating their own fifth generation fighter, and now Saudi Arabia is looking at purchasing those aircraft versus things like the F-35 because they actually want best-in-class equipment. They don't really like the idea of buying military equipment that literally the day you buy it, you know is worse than somebody not too far away from you. So they've started buying or they at least have the contracts in for the fifth generation fighters from Turkey. And if you listen to Turkey, Turkey isn't so happy with Israel right now. And Turkey is a predominantly Muslim country. So as our power wanes, as Turkey's power increases, it does become an interesting question about the military dynamics of the region and not what it looks like today or tomorrow or 5 years from now or even a decade from now. But what does that power paradigm look like 40 years from now? I think about this with, I read this book on the eradication of civilizations, which was curious. When they broke down the eradication of like these 4 different civilizations, it actually made a lot of sense once you understood what was going on. So it was Thebes, Constantinople, Carthage, and the Aztec Empire, right? And with Thebes and Carthage, literally the city-states were just the blocks were taken away. They literally erased these damn civilizations. The civilizations are completely gone. And the thing is, when you go through it, it makes a lot of sense. I guess it gets a little repetitive. It's like, you're reading about entire civilizations being completely wiped out. You're like, oh, we've heard this before. Like, it's basically 4 instances of more or less the exact same thing. And what becomes interesting is you have these two sides. You have these two sides, and they've been going at it, right? One gets stronger, the other gets stronger, they fight back and forth. And then the curious thing happens is at some point, one side gets stronger. So between Rome and Carthage. So Carthage devastated Italy for a long time, but then their power decreased significantly. Roman power was just naturally on the upswing. Carthage decided to do something stupid, and basically Rome was just done with it, which is very curious. Like when you think about it from like a human standpoint, there was just a certain point where Rome was just like, we are fucking done with Carthage. They've been fighting for centuries. They've been going back and forth, and they're like, we're done. So they send all their armies, and that's where they salt the fields. And then one thing leads to another. Basically, they wipe out the armies of Carthage. And then not only that, they force everybody the fuck out of Carthage. And then they literally take Carthage apart block by block to destroy the civilization. And what I get concerned about for folks, again, when you start thinking about a society that needs to think on the millennial scale versus on the decade scale, if Israel is setting themselves up for a very nasty situation, they might be 5 or 8 decades from now, but within a period of time. And that's my thought. And again, I think about this like with, how do you think about Israel? How do you think about Israel? Like when you think Israel, whoever you are, what do you think Israel? What do you think? Like when you think religion, what do you think? When I think Mormons, I think about annoying-ass missionaries, right? I think one of the curious things, I had a friend of mine who was Jewish, and she was devoutly Jewish. And I was talking to her about it, and she did a lot of good things. And apparently, somewhere in the Torah, I have been told, it states that a Jew's responsibility is to help the other races in the world. Like this is literally supposed to be their responsibility. And it was nice. And she did the work. She did the work. She wins the gold star for actually being religious. The interesting thing, though, is I have never heard that anywhere else. Like when you think about the story of a people, what are the stories of a people? And to think about that story is the branding, right? You sell the sizzle, not the steak. What are you selling for a people? And all I've heard all of my life, as far as Israel is concerned, is that it's basically just a goddamn bloodbath, right? Israelis get killed because everybody around them hates them. And then Israeli kills them because they're hated by them. And it goes around and around and around in circles. Is that a story that will survive a millennia? If you are the home to a people and are trying to remain that home to a people for a real length of time. Because again, Israel, modern concept of it has been around well less than 100 years. Is this the tact to get you to where you're going? I would question that. As a fake Jew, I would question that. But anyways, those are my thoughts. And why do I give you my thoughts? Because I get paid to give you my thoughts. I had somebody talking about, again, I think it was like one of these Jewish things before. And they came up. They were like, "Oh yeah, I'd heard your video." And so they started going in on me about their opinions. And I was like, I don't care. They're, "Oh what? What? You're not willing to argue about it? You can't argue about it?" I don't care what your opinion is. I've talked to many Palestinians and Israeli soldiers and Israeli politicians and higher ups in the Israeli military. I've talked with a lot of folks around there to get the opinions that I have. You are some jackass off the street. I like to drink beer with you, but let's not push it. And I think that's where a lot of people, especially in the modern world, kind of lose the plot sometimes. Is those of us like me come here to scream at the clouds because we get paid a nice tidy little sum of money to do the screaming. If I wanted to talk into a camera and not get paid, I would be teaching you REST APIs right now. Oh, you folks just really don't want to learn how to build a goddamn thing. But anyways, I do like to make money. So I'll be here, and I'll tell you my opinion. But the curious thing, right, there's this social media mindset. Because you hear me and you have this parasocial, you have this parasocial relationship with me and people like me. You think this is a conversation. You think this is a two-party whatever. No, this is a jackass in his basement screaming at a camera, and you watch it. And then YouTube gives me like a fraction of a cent for every person who watches this, right? But this is not a back and forth. But the problem is people think it's a back and forth. So then they're gonna hear from me, or they're gonna hear from Tim Pool, or they're gonna hear from the Young Turks. They're gonna be like, yeah, and they're gonna feel like they've been part of these conversations. I've been part of these conversations. And then they're gonna go, and you know what they're gonna do? They're going to go into your offices. And then they're going to say what their opinions are. And then everything's going to go to hell. Everything's going to go to hell. Because when you have everybody trying to be their own authentic thems in an environment where nobody wants to know about who the other person's authentic whoever is, it all goes to snit. So that's why I recommend the Eli the Computer Guy official ball gags. Do we have anything here we can use as a ball gag? What do we have here that we can use as a ball gag? Oh, look at this. Oh, there we go. Oh, look, it looks like a corgi. My wife was making these for a while. This is one of the first ones that my wife made. These little crochet things. All the cool girls are making crochet stuff. Anyways. This is going to be my new product line. This is going to be my new product line. Like all these other tech YouTubers are selling merch. They're selling T-shirts and backpacks and screwdrivers. Oh no, this is the Eli the Computer Guy channel. Eli the Computer Guy channel. Our merch is going to be ball gags for your employees. You can go to your employee. You can go to your employees and you can say, okay, dear employee, which do you prefer, the corgi or the penguin? And they're like, I don't know. I guess I kind of like the penguin. What do you want me to do with the penguin? And then you take the penguin and then they'll just walk around the office all day with a penguin hanging out of their mouth. Eli the Computer Guy, official ball gag for your workplace. Anyways, you come here for these videos. I don't know why the hell you're here. I know why I'm here. I don't know why you're here. So yeah, that would be my overall thought on all of it. There's just stupidity going on. There's insanity going on. Everybody is trying to prove that they're right, and the other person is a dumbass, and it just keeps going around and around and around. Your job as an organization leader, your job as a boss, is to figure out how to keep your ship going in that approximate direction. If you have half of your people that are on this side of the argument, and you have half your people on that side of the argument, and they decide to bring that crap into the office, it's just gonna be bad for everybody. So anyways, I do these, every once in a while I go to these pitching events, these pitching events for startup companies. I wonder if I would get disowned if I brought this idea to the local pitching event. Asheville Pitch Fest. Yes, people in Asheville, are you tired of hearing from your coworkers about their dumbass ideas? Well, we are coming out with the cutest lines of official Eli the Computer Guy ball gags. The next time one of your coworkers opens their mouth to say a stupid fucking thing about a goddamn thing, you take your ball gag like this, you shove it down their throat, and then you take the belt and wrap it behind their head. Good for you, good for them, good for the planet. Eli the Computer Guy ball gags. Buy them now. GoFundMe. Anyways, that's all I gotta say. What do you think? What do you think? Would you invest in ball gags? That's all I want to hear about. I do not give two shits about your opinion about anything else. All I'm curious about, would you invest in ball gags? Anyway, see y'all later.